Hey guys, Jason here with Damien, and we are back for another episode of TCG Revisited. Today we are talking about some rush decks, so it's time for some Unga Bunga. I wonder if this means we will finish this video in record time. Now, I guess we only have two rush decks at the moment. We have mono water. Sorry, not mono water. I mean, like, mono water technically is a rush deck, but in this episode, we are going to talk about the Deadly Fighter Braid Claw decks. That's what I mean in this episode. So, we only have two, which is a little surprising because we could have had more, but at the time, at least, I felt like gameplay might have been a bit too repetitive. So we'll of course be talking about potential updates and we'll be questioning existing card choices. Okay, so start things off fast and furious with the Outlier. Now, I have been seeing some IDC rush decks cut down on the 4-ofs, so sometimes they play like a 2 of certain things. But I think this means we could reasonably cut down on some cards like destruction spells to play new cards. So Damien, the first question I want to ask you is, should this deck be playing Snip Striker Bullraiser, since Zach Ranba is pretty good in the Season 3 version?
Yeah, but then, like, what would you take out for it? I feel like the light count's already too low. But you take out removal, right?
Yeah, you take out removal for it. Maybe like you play 6 removal, so that opens up 2 slots, and then maybe you just play 2, or you play 3 Kukbalon, 3 Snip Striker. But actually, now that you mention it, or now that I'm looking at this, is there a need to play maximum speed attackers if this deck already has Larba gear?
Oh, true. That's essentially one.
So, what if you cut down on like Pyro or Rikaboo? So I guess these 4 cards in the bottom middle. So like one Comet Missile, one Volcano, one Pyro, one
Just
Rikaboo.
one of each.
And then you play 4 Snip Striker.
Yeah. I think that would be pretty interesting. The having more 2 costs would definitely be pretty good, I think.
On the subject, do you think that for the non-DM13 version, should we adopt the Holy Awe style deck instead?
You mean like put Holy Ore in?
Yeah. So this is an alternate version that I whipped up. So it's basically the Season 3 list, but no Fanu. We play Rikaboo instead. And no, what's his name? Zach Ranba. We play Snip Striker instead, right? And so it's kind of like a really aggressive fire deck. And then you just play like Holio and, I don't know, maybe Colon and Tulk for some plot armor factor.
Yeah.
Do you prefer this like all-in style deck, or do you think it's better to just go a bit slightly slower and steadier with Larba gear?
I do like this one more, I think. The Rikaboos, the screwdrivers as well.
Yeah.
I think I don't know about you guys. I've always preferred those over the kill spells. I know the kill spells work straight away.
Yeah.
But the screwdriver can also attack, which is the whole point of rush decks.
Yeah. The upside is also tremendous because if your opponent can't answer Rikaboo's screwdriver, then you either get a lot of value from it or you force him to play a lot differently, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They feel rushed.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so you're a fan of playing the Holy Awe style as opposed to the Larba gear style deck.
I generally like the funner ones, and the Holy one seems a lot funner.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, I respect that. Oh man, this is wild. The Outlier list was like we were like, this is evergreen. This will never change, and now we were like, this might change. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I also like the if you can get like 6 mana down, and then they hit into a Holy you can double speed attack. Because like if they're breaking, normally you would have an empty board.
Yes.
So the double speed attack it's gonna be pretty funny.
That's true. That's very true. Actually, I feel like I've done a pretty good job with this one. So would you say this is your ideal? I guess without testing, this is the most. This is the outlier list that is of most interest to you.
Yeah, I think this one I would have more fun playing.
Yeah, because I remember you didn't really like the Larva Gear version. Like it was okay, right? But you didn't seem that fond of it.
Yeah. I think there were too many times where there's a certain point where you know you've lost and you can't do anything to come back.
Ah, yes.
This one I feel like you can still come back.
That's true. Well, that's a very eloquent way to put it. Yeah. I see it now.
They hit into a holy ore and then 2 colons. Play speed attack, you won.
Yeah, that's true. And also not Larva Gear. I mean, well, yes, Larva Gear, but like Laura Giga is also kind of a brick. But I will say, in the defense of Laura Giga, it's a 1-drop, and even though it can't attack, it can protect Deadly Fighter Brave Claw.
Yeah,
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that's true. I think consistently the other one would be better.
Not necessarily, actually, because I was thinking that, because like this deck plays 8 bricks, but even with the other one, the other cards are pretty situational, right? Like Laura Giga is situational, Larva Gear is situational, Solgala is like so much worse than like Snip Striker as a 2-drop.
Oh, okay.
And then if you play Larva Gear just to make your Laura Giga capable of attacking, if you're not tapping any blockers, or if you're not like opening up their board to swing for a lot of shields, it's not good value, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like one Larva Gear could have been two creatures attacking.
Yeah.
Another turn earlier.
Yeah. Oh no, Damien, is this the end for Larva Gear? Larva Gear must be in a deck though. Like I feel strongly about playing a Larva Gear deck.
Yes, we can do that.
But this
Guardians only.
Yeah. But I guess what you're saying is this is the reasonable evolution. And I guess given how OP the Outlier was in Season 3, it makes sense that the natural evolution in the TCG only environment would be the next closest thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, at least Colon's still seeing play. We kicked Colon out of a lot of decks.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, alright, so moving on to the next deck. We've got a favorite of yours, Damien. We've got Bounce Rush. I know we are meeting remotely, but I can feel the smile radiate across your face.
It's so good. Such a good deck.
Yeah, it is a very good deck. It's also been doing well, like IDC. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. When we met up, we actually made some pretty good changes to this, I would say. I wanted to put in Crystal Paladin because this deck's main problem is that it could just lose. If your opponent builds up a big enough board of blockers, you can just lose. And this deck hates Juliana and has like no way to properly answer Juliana. Like during the Season 3 testing, it was like Lucky Ball, Pyro, or Zach Ranba has to crash into Juliana in order for you to like move on with your life, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, we have water. Crystal Paladin makes sense to me. Or the 2 Aqua Guards plus the 4 Hulkus is how you support Paladin, right?
Yeah. I think we tried it a few times, and I feel like this deck might even be better than the DM13 one.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the Paladin just adds so much you can do to it. What matchup we? It wasn't very fair, but we tried against Hydro Hurricane.
Yeah, Hydro Hurricane. I think Ozesu maybe.
But yeah, Hydro Hurricane. This deck had a lot of problems against that.
Yeah.
Oh, but now it's all solved.
Yeah. Yeah. We cut the 2 Unicorn Fish and 2 Tick Tick to make the curve a bit smoother. Like honestly, it might sound a bit ironic, but I think Tick Tick may be a weak link. Or at least 4 Tick Tick is not the way because it's multi-civ, so it has like very bad feng shui. But lower counts of Tick Tick feels alright because you kind of look at it as a backup speed attacker in a sense, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Paladin is another attacker, so that's fine too, right?
Yeah. The only thing was a lot of the wins this deck got was from charging enough mana to get a double speed attacker.
Yeah.
And we're cutting them down was a bit harder. You sort of just had to save the cards in your hand and not charge them.
Yeah. This is very interesting because the role compression Crystal Paladin adds by technically being a speed attacker and by allowing you to bounce things, that is what convinced me we could cut down on Unicorn Fish and like Tick Tick, because it does the same thing, it's the same cost. But then we had to squeeze in some Aqua Guards. But Aqua Guards can protect Deadly Fighter Braidclaw now.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. This deck doesn't have the problem that Outlier has, where it has to be attacking turn like very early on and a lot. If you break 2 shields to activate Lucky Ball, you can stabilize pretty well and do pretty well through the mid game. It's not like Outlier where you have to win very early on and you have to win.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's over.
Yeah, this deck has more gears, and that's kind of what I like about it. You forego some speed for greater stability later on, and yeah, I think it's cool, right? So this Rush deck is bringing something new-ish to the table. And if you want to TCG-ify this deck, you can replace the Zac Ranbas for Snip Strikers, and you can replace the 2 Tick Ticks with maybe like 1 Aqua Guard and 1 Crystal Paladin, or like 2 Rickaboos. You can mess around with that.
The one thing was the Snip Striker. This doesn't play like a lot of low mana creatures.
You have a lot of 2-drops though.
Yeah, but there's like you've also been playing Spiral Gates and stuff, and Pyro goes back into your hand.
That's true.
So I don't know. It would still be good, I think. Just need to actually focus on getting the board state. Because normally Outlier, you just forget about that. You just assume Snip Strike is always active.
Yeah. Yeah. Cutting down to 2 Unicorn Fish is also pretty interesting, because I was like, this card is so important, like I must play more. But then I realized, well, Spiral Gate is already there. So we can get away with cutting down on Unicorn Fish.
So it's still Bounce Rush because we put in the Paladins.
Yeah, Paladin bounces things, right?
Yeah, we're still on 8 bounces. 16. No, wait, 12.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about Aqua Surfer.
Yeah. 12 bounce, so still bounce deck.
Yeah, this deck's really good. And it's funny because normally I look to the internet to get inspiration, right? And so a lot of the time, as we talked about last episode, we'll build decks that are concepts established by other people. With Bounce Rush, with this concept, this is something that you very much came up with. And I didn't actively search the internet for like water, fire, rush concepts. But then when I looked after we published these videos, or as we were like working on the decks, other communities also had their own bounce rushes. So I feel like it's very interesting that we independently arrived at the same conclusion as other people.
We're like the musicians defending their copyright song.
Yeah. That's right.
We thought of it ourselves.
Yeah, we did. We thought about it ourselves.
I will defend because this was very early on when I started playing with you guys, and I wanted to make my own deck, and this is what I was thinking of. And I hadn't looked up like what meta decks and stuff were. This was just something I knew you guys didn't have, so I was thinking like to make something like this.
Yes. Yeah, I know. This was tail end of season 1, and also I do have a video where I preview the season 3 decks. And that comes out way before the deck profile, so that is my like that is my claim that we did not like copy this.
Although my version had Aqua Soldier.
Yes, that was a very unrefined version. You were a different Damien back then.
It looked like a good card.
All right, and I guess we can move on to the final deck of the video. The theoretical third deck. This is a ghost from the past. Fire Nature Rush. And this is something that I very much did net deck. See, when I net deck, I admit it. Fire Nature Rush, this is a very solid concept. I thought this deck was too OP when we first made it, just punching holes through things. And very similar in concept to the Outlier, just a better version. But now that we're moving in the direction of an updated Outlier with the Holy plot armor. I think this deck is also different enough to that. So, yeah. Anyway, opening the floodgates to Fire Nature Rush, Damien. What are your thoughts? Should this deck stay dead? Is it too OP? Do we hate this deck? What do you think?
I remember when we first tested with this. This was pretty much Outlier but better.
Yes.
Like a lot better, and it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
I think it was mostly Gauntlet, but
Yes.
yeah, I think it was too similar, and that was mostly the reason. I think if it was too good, it's just like we pare it down a bit, but it was just too similar to Outlier. Right?
I found that this deck was too good. Like, it could just beat everything too easily. And that's where hashtag carried by Gonta comes from. Like, it doesn't matter, like, how bad the deck is. If you just play, like, 4 Gonta and 4 Pyro, that can carry you. That alone can carry you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in saying that, I feel pretty comfortable, like, if we Hall of Fame Gonta, because, okay, also, I should probably elaborate. Jason, like, why is, like, Soul Swap legal in your format? And, like, why do you hate Gonta so much? So, the reason Soul Swap, I think, can exist at 4 in our format is because it's a vehicle for creativity. Like, a lot of decks, I think, need it to get off the ground. And it is super broken and it is super unfair, but I think it makes the game more interesting. With Gonta, you just brute force your way. It's very difficult to answer, and it's not interesting. So if we limit Gonta to 1, that makes it so that the Gonta player maybe has to get lucky to play it, but it still exists in the format. Because it's weird to, like, ban Gonta, right? And I don't want to move in this direction of, like, semi-limiting cards. It's just like, I'll just do what they do in OCG, right? It's like you ban it, or you can play 1 copy.
Yeah, I think the option was either to limit him,
Yeah.
or like put a counter into every other deck, but that's not really good.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be doing that, especially
Exactly.
because we're only 40 cards.
Yeah. So I think that's the solution, right? So if we play 1 Gonta and then, like, 3 Snip Striker, you think we can unleash the wolves? You think we can play this deck now?
Yeah, I think it would still work. Like, there's no search for him, and getting him later is still good. So it's not like because it's unlikely you'll get him out on turn 2 now. But getting him out like turn 4 is still a good cut. Turn 3 or 4. Yeah, and if you just means you can spend a bit more resources to try to get rid of it, but you know it's gone for good.
Yeah. Oh, well, Damien, we have solved Duel Masters. Well, not solved, but, like, I don't know. I think we are... I was going to say we are good at making, like, the most fun environment, but then it's, like, the most fun environment for us. But then, like, obviously we would know what's, like, fun for us because we understand our preferences better.
Yeah, that's not very fair.
Yeah. But then in saying that, like, our videos are always in the context of Gauntlet environments. That's why we, in the deck profiles, we tell people, oh, you know, you can also do this. We're not telling you this is how you have to play. We're just saying, this is how we like to play. And if you want to play like that too, power to you.
Yeah. If you want to play Carnival, you play Carnival.
Yeah. Maybe this deck could play 1 Zombie Carnival. Look at how much Beast Folk it's playing. Look at how many Dragonoids it's going to play. No, I'm kidding, but...
Just puts in your trigs.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, cutting down on Gonta is fine for the feng shui of the deck because you're always hard casting it anyway, so your available nature mana doesn't really change. at first I was like, oh no, if we take out Gauntlet, we're cutting down on our nature. Are we going to have enough nature? But then I realized
right.
it doesn't really matter because you're never
Yeah.
charging Gauntlet for the nature mana. You're always playing it.
Yeah, it's too good.
It's too good, man. Gauntlet's too good. Man, I need to maybe one day I need to make a video about like my feelings on Gauntlet. Like this guy's too good, and why is no one talking about it?
Yeah. The only time would be if you've got 2 in your hand and you need the nature mana.
Yes, that's true. To play the other one.
Yeah, on turn 1 if you got 2 in your hand.
Yeah. This is amazing, Damien. Look at the series. This whole journey has allowed us to introduce one new deck into the pool. It's crazy.
We're growing.
Yes. Not quite at the same rate as before of like 8 to 10 decks per year, but we are growing. All right, so well that brings us to the end of the video, Damien. Are there any comments that you would like to make before we close out?
So yeah, the bounce rush deck is very fun. I think people should try that. It's got rush, it's got draw, and somehow it gets a lot of ramp as well.
It really does. Like I think on average, the bounce rush deck will charge like 6 to 8 mana per game on average.
Yeah, I guess it depends how you define rush, but it's sort of tempo-y now. But you're still trying to break every turn, so I guess it is rush.
Yeah, if it runs Deadly Fighter Braid Claw, it qualifies as rush.
That's the defining factor.
Or like Deadly Fighter Braid Claw and Pyro, right?
Yeah.
But what this means, Damien, is that we need to get back to the drawing board and make a Larba Gear deck. If the Outlier is going to evolve to 1, be better, and 2, allow Fire Nature Rush into the format as a point of differentiation, we're going to need to make a Larba Gear deck.
Yeah. I think we brought this up before as well, but there's also a Fire Dark deck.
Ah, yes. Fire Dark is just a worse version of Fire Nature with fewer gears, I think.
Well, we couldn't make it properly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Damien. That brings us to the end of the video. Almost the end of the series, but we do have one more episode, so stay tuned for that. But I guess for now, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.